Welcome to The Explainer. Technology has completely rewritten almost every part of our lives, right? From how we work, to how we connect, to how we live. But the thing is, the rules we live by, our ethical code, well, they haven't exactly kept up. We're all in this brand new territory, and we need a new compass to figure out which way is up.
Just think about that for a second. Every single time you click something, search for an answer, or post an update, you're leaving behind a footprint, a digital trail. But the big question is, who gets to follow that trail? Who decides where it leads? This is one of the most important questions we have to answer today. Because let's face it, we are living in a completely new digital reality. And yeah, this revolution has brought us some incredible, amazing things, but it's also served up some really tough ethical dilemmas that we're only now really starting to wrap our heads around. So to even begin to tackle these huge ethical questions, we first need to get on the same page. We've got to speak the language of this new world. And it all starts with this journey, this transformation from simple data to actual usable knowledge. Okay, think of it like this. A long list of random temperature readings, that's just data. It's raw, it's messy. But organize those numbers by date and by city, and suddenly you have information. You have a weather report. But when a meteorologist takes that report and says, hey, you should probably bring an umbrella tomorrow, now that is knowledge. It's information that you can actually do something with. And it's right there, in that final step, turning information into action. That's where things get complicated. This new digital landscape we're in, it's basically an ethical minefield. The power to collect and use information on this massive scale creates brand new dangers that demand a whole new way of thinking. And this is where we have to draw a really important line in the sand. See, we all have our own personal ethics, right? That little voice in our head that's been shaped by our family, our culture, our experiences. But for the people who are actually building our digital world, the engineers, the designers, there has to be a higher standard. Professional ethics aren't just personal beliefs. They're formal duties that demand accountability and put the public's well-being first. So, what's really at stake here? It's something called cyber trust. It's that gut feeling of confidence you have when you open your banking app or share something personal with a friend online. Without that trust, the digital economy, our social lives, all of it, it just starts to crumble. It is without a doubt the most essential currency of our online world. So how do we maintain that trust? Well, it all rests on 4 pillars, 4 things that are completely non-negotiable. When anyone handles our data, we have to be able to say yes to these questions. Is my data actually private? Did I clearly agree to this? Are the computers using it free from bias? And is it really secure? If the answer to even one of those is no, cyber trust is broken. Simple as that. A failure in professional ethics can lead to absolute catastrophe. Just look at the Space Shuttle Challenger disaster. The brilliant physicist Richard Feynman, he investigated it, and his conclusion was chilling. He said it wasn't just a technical failure, it was a human one. It was a failure of ethics where engineers knew there was a problem, but their warnings were ignored. It was, in his powerful words, a man-made disaster which didn't have to happen. So that makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the invisible Challenger disasters of our time? Is it a massive data breach that completely upends millions of lives? Or maybe it's a biased AI that automatically denies jobs or loans to an entire group of people. These might not be fireballs in the sky, but make no mistake, they are man-made disasters that absolutely do not have to happen. And this brings us to an even bigger, maybe even tougher question. It's not just about data. Who gets to benefit from all this technology in the first place? We kind of just assume it's for everyone, that the advantages are universal. But are they really? Let's make this really personal for a second. Have you ever used a piece of tech that just didn't quite work for you? Maybe a voice assistant that never understands your accent, or a health app that seems like it was designed for a totally different kind of person. Is the tech in your life really, truly built for you? When you have that experience, you're often bumping up against something called gendered technologies. See, technology is never neutral. A famous, or maybe infamous example, is how early facial recognition AI was way less accurate for women and people of color. And why? Because the data it was trained on was mostly, well, white guys. It's a human bias built right into the machine. And this problem goes way beyond gender or race. Technology can create or even deepen what we call the digital divide. I mean, if you live in a rural area with spotty internet, or you just can't afford the latest gadgets, you are essentially locked out of the modern world, locked out of jobs, education, healthcare, things that other people just take for granted. This doesn't just show inequality, it makes it worse.
So, what's the answer? How do we navigate this whole ethical minefield? We need a guide. We need that shared ethical framework we talked about, a compass for every single person who has a hand in creating our digital world. And this is what that compass looks like when you put it into practice. A professional code of ethics gives us clear duties. It says you have to safeguard public welfare above all else. That's how we stop future challenger disasters. It demands honesty and integrity. That's how we build cyber trust. It requires competence so things actually work, and it demands that we promote fairness and equity. That's how we bridge that digital divide. These are the rules for building a better, safer world for everyone.
So I'll leave you with this. After everything we've talked about, data, trust, fairness, access, if you could write the #1 most important rule for the internet, the very first line of our new digital code, what would it be? Because in the end, figuring out this new world isn't someone else's job. It's a responsibility we all share. Thanks for digging into this with us.